Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I didn't review this for a while, and I have seen it a couple times actually. And I was a little intimidated and thought I need to really dive into this before I review it, and I wanted to do a really good review, so I hope this lives up to that. Basically, I felt the same way when I reviewed Spider-Verse. I did it and I was I could have watched it 5 more times and really thought about it and think about everything, and I still don't know. This and that, the probably 2 best at this time multiverse movies of recent memory, at least. The thing is that's very similar to Into the Spider-Verse and Everything Everywhere All at Once is you have all these crazy multiverses. You have all these ideas. You have all these possibilities in a multiverse. And infinite possibilities. More possibilities than you can imagine. Would you be a singer? Would you be a martial artist? Would you be a pig? Would you be a noir detective? Would you be blind? Would you, have hot dog fingers? And it's all these possibilities. But the thing that brings it all together is a sense of either in Spider-Verse's idea of identity, and in this, it's the sense of love and family. And what this film is essentially about is a family that is at a supreme breaking point where the husband wants to get divorced. The grandfather is going to say probably something tremendously shitty he can't take back. And the daughter is pretty much I need to move on with my life and not be as involved, even though she's on the family plan. But she was probably go deeper into the nihilism that she feels. And the idea of, if you think of leaving a relationship or leaving a job or leaving any friendship or relationship, I think most people think, oh, I can do so many different things. There's so many different things that would be more worth my fucking time than this. It's the whole thing. I could have been a dancer. I could have done this, but instead I got trapped into this. And in another multiverse, I am my dream self, and I need to be that dream self. And not thinking of, and I think the Daniels probably view on philosophy is a little simplistic, but I think it's glorious in how it's executed, typically, in the few things I've seen from them. In this, it's basically you could have all these possibilities infinitely. You could have a Raccacoonie on your head, but instead of that, you understand the joy and the love that you have that is already there in your life. And as much as I think this film is about a marriage that is falling apart in a relationship with her father, the thing that ties it all together and is the greatest villain as their multiverse hopping and everything else is that the daughter could just fall into nihilism and want nothing to do with them. And as a dad myself, my kids are really little now, so I don't know. I think stepping into that is scary, and you don't want to see your kids go through something that horribly negative, but also how sad that life could be and how horrible it could be as well. I think this film is about the possibilities that you get enraptured in while not appreciating what you have around you. What this film is about is a family, the Wong family, who are being audited by the IRS for dry cleaning business, and at the same time they're going to be doing a Chinese New Year party or a Lunar New Year party at their dry cleaners, and the husband wants to serve her with divorce papers because they're not really connecting anymore. Daughter is going to bring her girlfriend and wants to come out to the family. The grandfather's there and is probably going to say something shitty. And Michelle Yeoh, who is the matriarch, is being ripped into all these different directions, but is also kind of thinking of the multiverse and all the possibilities her life could have gone into. But also in the multiverse, she has to stop this, I think it's called Jobu, this evil kind of super villain called Jobu, who is basically her daughter Joy, who put everything on an everything bagel, including Craigslist personal ads, her hopes and dreams, everything that's on an everything bagel, made this kind of nihilistic thing that's destroying all universes. And she has to go through the universes and connect to various other multiverses where she can pick up skills like martial arts, like singing, like having hot dog fingers, like I already said, but that's kind of a skill, and all these different things. And she's going to use that to defeat the nihilism that is eating away at all the universes, possibly their entire family, and hopefully come out of it together again. I do think this movie is a lot But I think one of the things that this movie does that, recently I said, I think Into the Spider-Verse will end up being one of the most influential films of recent memory because of everything it's wrought. The MCU is clearly jealous of it. They had to make a live-action Spider-Man movie to counter it. Sorry, I'm talking about superhero movies. But the idea of this film, because of that introduction, I think helps. But I think what this has, that the same thing Spider-Verse had, that no other, that also these multiverse films don't have, and maybe they have a sprinkle of it, is one, they had the idea at the center of it to make a thematic reason that you have the multiverse. They don't just have it for the stylistic purpose, which I think some people get enraptured in that and don't think about it. And a lot of the references actually make sense when you think of Kiwi Kwan's career, even off the camera, when you think Michelle Yeoh's career, it references things like that. But it's also like things that connect to the overall theme. It's not just like them showing off all these different things and it goes into like their body positivity that the Daniels have. But the idea, and this is an idea in animation, that is coming more and more into filmmaking. I saw it in The Fireplace, the Adult Swim thing, but like that anything is possible. In animation, there's this whole idea, if you look at a Bugs Bunny cartoon, anything could happen. And this has that chaotic energy. You don't know if Bugs Bunny is going to drop an anvil on fucking someone, and you don't know what Wile E. Coyote is going to come up with, but it works because you have the idea of an infinite imagination. And as filmmaking technology gets easier and more digital, and some would say is blending more and more with animation, it makes sense that a live action director would have, would have this much imagination open up. And this is a product of that open imagination of animation that Walt Disney and I know Hayao Miyazaki wrote about than any other director currently, because that love of ideas and filmmaking and imagination, because as much as I think the rejection of this film is more to like a typical good movie is this, and what the fuck is going on here, there's too much to watch. And I agree, there's been a couple of times I've watched it, I'm sort of overwhelmed almost by everything that's going on. But I'd much rather honestly be overwhelmed by an ambitious, beautiful movie than, sit there and watch something that's doing the same thing that we've been doing like fucking forever. I think the thing I really like about this is more so the future than we're really talking about right now. This is talking about mental health. It's basically doing a family drama. I mean, how is this any different than something like Grapes of Wrath or How Green Is My Valley or something on a very basic level? Maybe because in those, a couple of those families didn't work out so well. But in a sense, it is, but it's still positive about itself. And it has amazing performances from Michelle Yeoh opening up everything she can do. I know Jackie Chan was at one point asked to be in this and he said no. Part of me sort of would actually like to see that universe where he did it, because Jackie Chan, and I'm wearing this Buster Keaton shirt almost for a reason, and a lot of martial artists have said they're not just influenced by other martial artists, they're influenced by Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Michelle Yeoh probably did that better than any other martial artist performer I've ever seen do that in a movie. She has that, like Buster Keaton had that Bugs Bunny idea, and Charlie Chaplin did as well, of like anything could happen, and she's like the perfect person for it. If you don't have someone like that, this film doesn't work. You have someone to overplay it, this film falls apart. Like that lead performance is such a linchpin in the kind of organization of this film. If you didn't have that, this movie wouldn't be as good as it is. And she's excellent in this. She's funny, she's hilarious, she does what she usually does with the martial arts stuff, but she is there's so much more possibility I see with her in this than I've seen her in, especially any of her American films, but almost in any of them. And then Kiwi Kwan, look, I grew up with this guy. It's amazing to see him. He is a very great comedic actor, but he's so much more than that in this. I love that it references In the Mood for Love, and he was an assistant director for Wong Kar-wai. You might have seen that in another video I made. I think that is an interesting thing, and that this is sort of like people have mentioned how he worked on the Jet Li movie, and this is sort of a similar thing to that. I find that to be an interesting coincidence as well. Stephanie Hsu is just such an alive performer, so kind of almost chaotic in what she's doing, which I think leads to everything, and so over the top, but so wonderful. I mean, I just want to see her in more things. I love that you have James Hong and Jamie Lee Curtis, two John Carpenter veterans. Jamie Lee Curtis is having more fun here than I've seen her have since. I mean, I gotta say, for Jamie Lee Curtis, is a weird year. The two movies I saw her in from 2022 were this and Halloween Ends. Kudos to you, Jamie Lee Curtis. What the fuck? I know you didn't write them, but wow. That's a weird double feature, and this movie's already pretty weird. She's always been an amazing and gifted comedic actress. She has a great filmography, and I think this is an amazing addition to that. I mean, from A Fish Called Wanda to Trading Places to what she did with John Carpenter and horror, she is an amazing actress, and I think it leads to this. And especially as a supporting actress, I think she knows when to get out of the way, but when she has a moment to shine, she really does. I do love this movie. I know that I'm reviewing this so late that there's a possibility at the time I'm shooting this, the Oscars haven't happened. I don't know if it'll win Best Picture or not. And the hype is gone, and being wowed by this movie is gone. But rewatching it, I think this is showing something really wonderful. And it's showing the same thing It's a Wonderful Life did, where it's like, what would life be without you? And instead looking at like, what would life be without this family? And in a sense, even the shitty view you might have of yourself and the sort of feeling you have of ultimate failure, that you tried all these things and couldn't do it, and you're not the person you would like to be, there's still positivity in that, and maybe that is the ultimate version. Maybe that is the actual best version of you, and you should appreciate the good in that. I'm not saying to settle. I think that is like, I think a lot of people can take these morals and go like, oh, maybe the woman shouldn't have been so stuck up all the time. That's not... Ultimately, I can definitely say you can see that from this, and I'm not saying that's unwarranted, but I do think there's a certain thing where, like, I've been to so many things with like people, and they just start wanting to yell about articles they read and politics, and I'm just sitting there like, this is what my life is sometimes. But I also think there is a positivity into the life you are living, and there are things that are wonderful. And I know that might be cheesy, and in a movie like something like Life is Beautiful, that might sound insulting, but like when you look at it in Everything Everywhere All at Once, there is a sort of beauty in their family. There is a point to you all being together, at least in this one. I do think their families, that yeah, it's not working out and it is toxic, and that is a different side of it. That is not the story that this film is telling, and I'm not saying ultimately all should, but there is a feeling that maybe appreciate the little specks of life that you have and appreciate the wonder in it. You should appreciate the things maybe it's wonderful that your mom bought you, pizza bagels, and that's pretty cool that she found the right pizza bagels and she burnt them the wrong way. The Daniels have this body positivity thing that was in their last film, Swiss Army Man, that was in their Turn Up for What. They directed that music video, and like, you shouldn't be scared of your body. You shouldn't be scared of the life that you are living, and you should love the life that you're in and appreciate it. And there's a lot that is wonderful about what's going on with you. And I think I haven't seen that burst of positivity. Almost every time I see it, I have cried, I've thought about crying, it hits me hard, because like, there are wonderful things about those relationships in that film, even if she can't fully accept her daughter's homosexuality, but she does. And I think there is a point where like accepting and trying to be appreciating what you have and what you are and how wonderful that is, even if there are a lot of fucking wrong things going on. Maybe this is a weird reaction to a really shitty bunch of years we've all had, but trust me, there's so many times I think that I just want to be happy that I can, listen to my favorite song and walk down the street and, look at something as, I don't know, some of this might sound dumb, and maybe I'm old and like, I appreciate it. I mean, it was wonderful. I got to listen to fucking De La Soul this week on Spotify. Like, that's wonderful. I feel like my life has an extra layer to it. That's awesome. You know what I mean? And like, I think there's so much times we're getting hit with all this constant negativity and racism and homophobia and transphobia and like so many phobias. I honestly like it does feel overwhelming, but I think sometimes you have to look at like, this is all the time we have, and we should fight those things, and we shouldn't disregard those things, but you also need to look at the positivity that we ultimately have and the wonder that we have within this life and within that family that they have, and how amazing it was that they built that business and are all together. And yes, we are getting hit with literally everything everywhere all at once. And yes, it is overwhelming. And yes, it is too much. But that doesn't mean we can't just like appreciate what we all have and the time we have together and how wonderful that all is. And yes, this is a great fucking movie. I don't care if you're all gonna say it's overwhelming, we talked about it too fucking much. Fuck you. Get over your damn fucking self and enjoy the fucking movie, because in 20 years, when your kids or grandkids or whoever is like, you know what, that is cool, and you have a stick up your butt, you're gonna look like the person that this movie is telling you not to fucking be, and don't be it. I love this movie. I will always love this movie. It is definitely going to go down as one of the best movies of this year. I don't care if the Oscars give it to him or not. It's just a fact, because life, in a sense, is actually pretty wonderful. There are amazing things in the little specks we have, and maybe sometimes you should just sit there and appreciate it, and that ultimately is pretty cool. So if you have seen Everything Everywhere All at Once and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.